Your lesson essential question is, how do we identify connections in informational texts? So we'll be looking at different types of informational texts, and we're going to be identifying connections. So let's talk about some of the connections that occur between key details in texts. Key details in informational texts are tied together in specific ways. So there's a few different ways that they can be tied together. We're going to focus on one this week, and that is sequence. So sequence is definitely something that you've learned before. This should be pretty easy for you. The first thing that we're going to do is identify what type of informational text we're working with. So we'll either be looking at historical texts that tell us about a person or an event in history. We could be reading a scientific text that tells us maybe about the sun, the moon, about plants, or steps in a process. Those are usually directions for how to do something. So once we've identified the type of text, we need to look for the key words that connect the key details. Then we'll be able to identify the text structure. So we'll be looking for words that are sequence words, compare and contrast words, or cause and effect words. Sequence words tell when something happened. Compare and contrast words tell us how things are alike and different. And cause and effect words tell us what happened because of other events. So once we've identified everything, we're going to use those specific text structure words as we describe the relationships in the text in our writing and in our speaking. So like I said, we're focusing on sequence this week. So we'll be looking for words like first, next, last, then, after that or after, in the beginning or in the end, when, and then an event. We'll look for dates and we'll look for specific times. So you are going to be looking for some sequence words today. Do you like a good story? Then you probably enjoy history. History is a story of events that happened in the past. Historical events are usually told in a sequence, which is the order in which they happened. The sequence can help you understand the relationships or connections between those events. When you read, look for signal words that give clues about time, order, and sequence. First, next, and finally are signal words. So are phrases such as later that year and in 1864. So let's look at the cartoon. First, the Vikings sailed to America. The word first tell me that this is the first thing that happened in the beginning. Next, they started a settlement. The word next tells me this is what happened after they sailed to North America. After a few difficult years, the Vikings gave up and returned home. After a few difficult years tells me this is what happened after they started the settlement. So first the Vikings sailed to North America, then the Vikings started a settlement, then after a few years the Vikings gave up and returned home. We're going to be working with this text the rest of this week. This is a historical text. You are going to be reading it on your own today and identifying some of the sequence words or phrases. You're going to be telling me about those words and phrases in a discussion post. And then tomorrow we'll really dig into this text.